So let's say you found a skeleton. How would you tell if it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on this.
Hey everybody, it's me, the Dapper Dinosaur. I'm back here again with Golden Unicorn because for some reason, after having been here last time, she still thinks it's a good idea to come back to listen to more of Jordan. So, you know
Really?
what?
Was it my idea? Okay.
I asked you to come back, but like I said, you still
Yes,
thought
you
it was
did.
Yep, right. But for some reason, you agreed, and I don't understand why you would do that, but you did.
Hey, in my defense, you first asked me, and then when I asked you about the topic, then you told me about the topic.
You could have backed out.
Yeah, that's always an option, I guess.
All right. So,
Morning, everyone.
morning or afternoon.
Yes, afternoon.
So we have two super chats before we start. One is for $5 from Carrie Bronson, who says, "The void has already claimed the inside of Jordan's skull, it would appear." Yes, that does seem to be the case. And we also have for $5 from Vandalia 1998, first a Mothra emoji, and then ready for more brain cells to fade listening to Jordan, also ready for our discussion afterwards. Yes, so, you guys, if you want to hear more Dapper Dino, I am going to be on Vandalia 1998's channel after this, and we're going to be talking about the history of religion and politics and their interactions and things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then there is a fair chance that at some point later on tonight, I will be hosting an after show for a modern day debate. Yeah, there you go. Stream about whether or not the Titanic was sunk, featuring our friend Corporal Anon and RJ Downer on the yes, the Titanic really sank side. Because I don't think I know anyone who knows more about the Titanic than those two. And so when James asked me to debate that topic, I was like, no, you need to talk to RJ. So, that debate is my fault, guys. But I think that's enough of a preamble. Miss Unicorn, are you ready to watch more of this horribleness?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Jordan was just telling us how we can control things by knowing about them, which is a prerequisite, I'll grant him.
Which I suppose could be
Yeah.
a very good thing, or a very bad thing. Well, we'll talk about the philosophy a little later, because right now we're talking about light.
Oh, we're back to talking about light. It's only been like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Why light? Well, as we've explored before, it's such an intrinsic substance to the whole universe, and many paradigms of belief throughout history have pegged light as a foundational source of all of creation itself. And so, what if we could know the shape of light, its most basic characteristics, its
The shape of light? What does that even mean?
Yeah, like, do you know the shape of a photon? Or like, what do we call it? It's not a photon, sorry. Is it?
Yeah, photons are the particles,
Photon
the
of
quanta
light,
of
yeah?
light.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I almost got confused between proton and photon. God damn it, we haven't even started.
How
How do you
much
know the
booze
shape
did you
of a
pour in your
photon?
tea?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm still
Yeah, the
sleepy,
shape
guys,
of
please.
it's sort of like asking like what color the letter A is. Like it doesn't. Photons are
Yeah.
point-like particles, right? They do have interactions, but like they're not really spheres. They're not cubes. Although a sphere, I guess you could use to approximate them because being point-like, their tendency to interact, falls off at a spherical distance from the point. But yeah, it's a really bizarre thing to say.
Yeah, why don't we listen to his whole shtick? Like, what is he
Okay.
talking about? Does he explain what does he mean by
The shape.
the shape of light, and let's say where we go from there?
Okay.
Curious.
smallest building
Yeah.
blocks? What if we could understand the fundamental geometry that light moved by? What if it was a three-dimensional geometric form that we could map, like a tetrahedron or a cube or something else? How would that change our understanding of reality? You know, I think that's what scientists, and maybe all of us at some level, are searching for.
Everybody is searching for what kind of 3D shape light has somehow.
Yeah,
And-
I think so. What he's saying is he started from what is the shape of the smallest particle of light, whatever, yada yada yada, and then he switched to like what shape they project, like in what shape they project, like
Yeah, he says they want to move in a shape like what?
yeah, like tetrahedron and all that, and then he admits, like I don't know if it's an admittance or it's a claim that scientists are still looking for answers in the same field, and I'm just like,
I mean,
huh?
if scientists did find that somehow light moved in like, I don't know, a tetrahedral shape, however that would even be a real thing, I mean, I guess they'd be interested. But yeah, this is maybe he's going to explain it
I
better.
thought, yeah, I thought light traveled in straight lines.
Basically, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it does. There is like interference and stuff, but like
Yeah.
for the most
Like
part,
it's
yeah, it basically travels in a straight line.
okay.
If light is a building block of creation, and we understood it fully, could we become masters of reality? Would it change or evolve our understanding of everything? Speaking to this,
I'm just gonna say no.
It's the
Einstein
building block of every like creation. So how he changed from shape of the basic um fundamental quark of photon to what shape it projects, and then to it's the intrinsic like part of the universe, and then to oh it's the basic building block of the creation, and now to like what did it's like jumping so many hoops, and they're like, oh, if we mastered this knowledge, then we become masters of reality. What in the world are you talking about? So are you telling me that blind people cannot master this reality? Is that what you're saying? Because they can't see, but
But
maybe the
maybe
knowledge might.
yeah, maybe
What?
if they know enough about like they can control the whole reality, or they can just do like pretty colors. I mean, that's
can
basically.
can can the scientists who like are researching in this area of field, you know, can they like their salaries? Can they do that? It's like it's such wishy-washy thinking, like wishy-washy, sorry, wishy-washy, wishy-washy thinking. I'm just like confused, very confused. I'm sure the audience is also very confused right now.
We have a
Okay.
$10 super chat from Carrie Bronson who says the Spirit
Oh,
Science
thanks,
drinking.
mate.
Thank you very much. The Spirit Science drinking game. Whenever he says geometry, take a sip for the number of vertices on the shape he draws. His lunar sacred geometry segment left me entirely so. Okay, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that sounds like a really dangerous drinking game, and we already have a drinking game on this channel. Which, by the way, in case anyone wasn't here for last Kent with Bent, there looks like we're going to be starting to do some irregular Matt with Maddie, focusing on Matt Powell and or Raw Matt with Maddie from Science Side Up. So, just more stuff to cover for Tuesdays, so we can change it. Because I'll be honest, guys, doing Kent 3 to 4 times a month.
That's pretty exhausting.
I love you guys, but yeah, it can get rough. And then when I do Eric with Erica, it's technically a break from Kent Oven, but it's just Eric Oven, who usually just says the same stuff. So it'll be nice to get a little bit of a change of pace and go for some Raw Matt or Matt Powell nonsense. But here we go.
said something amazing, something which has echoed through the halls of science since his death. He said that science should be simple, something that anyone can understand. Anyone can make things complicated and
What? How come you don't give him his full name? It says Albert Ein. You know what the rest of it is.
Why is his butt covering his?
I don't know.
complex.
But it's like any
but it-
intelligent fool can make things bigger and more complex. It takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. I don't know if it means what our narrator is trying to say. It means.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because the thing is, it really is valuable in science to take what is a really complex thing and try to simplify it down, right? That's like why we take big, long equations and we try to simplify them as much as we can. But at certain points, there's only so much you can actually simplify, right? Like, at a certain point, you can't really simplify it anymore, or it starts to significantly just use its usefulness. So,
It takes a genius to make something simple. Equally, Carl Sagan once raised a great point about the education sector. If you were to go to a kindergarten class and see what kind of questions they asked, you'd get some very simple but thought-provoking questions. Why is the earth round? Why is the sky blue? Why do we believe that light is what it is? What even is light? What is a particle? But if you come back to a class of 11th and 12th graders, they don't ask these kinds of questions anymore. The creativity and sense of wonder about the universe has often been sapped out of them.
no, it's just that those questions were answered.
Yeah, and we have now new questions. Like, ugh.
If, if you say, why is the Earth round? And then someone points out, well, it's because gravity pulls things towards the center, and round is a state of maximum hydrostatic equilibrium. Okay. If you ask, why is the sky blue? And it's like, oh, because of Rayleigh scattering causes all the blue light to diffuse across the sky, while the other wavelengths still stream directly from the sun. Okay. Like, why? If you know that answer, you don't need to keep asking that question.
Or is he saying that we don't ask the new questions in such simpler format? Is that what he is complaining about?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it's just like people have moved on to like, okay, well, why does gravity act the way it does instead of saying, why is the Earth round?
Like, yeah, I guess he's limiting the fact that the answers are becoming more complex even for children. Is that what his problem is? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Like, yeah, because like why the earth is round and why the sky is blue, those still have quite complex answers.
Hmm.
The questions can be very simple. Um, it depends on what are you questioning. The answer depends on that. And some answers can be very complex, but depending on what you're questioning. So yeah, I don't get it. Like, what is he lamenting about? Is he lamenting about that the questions are not simple anymore? Is he lamenting about the answers are not
I
simple
think
anymore? They weren't simple in the first place. So
I think
what's the
he's
point?
I think he's complaining that because people learn about the actual way the world works, they no longer feel like it's as mysterious, which I
Is
think
it a
he's
good thing?
basically I think he's saying that a sense of mystery is an inherently good thing, and that things that take away a sense of mystery are bad, even though by taking away that sense of mystery, they're actually giving you the answers that you were wondering about. So I think he's
Yeah,
doing this sort of like, oh, the more about the world that we understand because of science, the less magical and mysterious the world is. And it's like, well, I mean, there's still stuff we don't
it's
know about in science. Just go find your wonder and mystery there.
yeah, it's like yeah, I'm just confused. Like, why would you? I don't know. Yeah, there are like people who are unhappy with the education system, that it's becoming more and more complex for children. I get that. It is. It's becoming so much more like in like last 20 years, so much more information has popped up for like children to like process through the different school years. It's becoming more and more information, more and more knowledge that they have to process. I get that the burden is there, definitely. But I don't think so the sense of mystery and wonder has gone away. I don't think that way.
Yeah.
Kids can ask a lot of questions and some of them can amaze you. Like, have you ever sat down and spoken to a 2-year-old? Oh my lord.
Yes, I have. Also, we have a couple things I want to mention in chat, and then a new super chat. So first we have Actually, I'll just go to super chat first. For Vandali 1998 for $5 says, plus we give kindergarten. Plus we give kindergartners simple answers because sometimes they can't understand the complex answers. Hey, grown adults can't either. That's true. We also
Yeah.
have Sourceblood who said that as someone who works in daycare, he's never heard a kindergartner ask what particles make up the universe. Yeah, I haven't either. That's usually a bit too advanced. And then we also have
Yeah.
ML2 who says, good afternoon, I just showed up. And ML2 has reminded me, because ML2 is my newest channel member, we are only 2
Hey.
channel members away from a new emoji. So I'll tell you what, next 2 people who
Hey,
join the
are you
channel,
making a golden unicorn emoji? No, no.
I absolutely could, because as you know, I happen to have a 3D model of a golden unicorn.
Yay. Dapper made like such awesome like animated gifs of golden unicorns. I am ecstatic. I'm so happy.
I think there's 5 of them now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You were on a roll, eh? You just once you started, you just kept going, and oh
Yeah,
my
well,
lord.
I got the model set up and rigged so I could animate it, and then it was just like, all right, well, let's just make a bunch. But yeah, so guys,
Yeah.
if you type in Golden Unicorn into like the tenor GIF keyboard, you can find some of the GIFs that I've made. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make some Ceratosaurus GIFs too. All right, here we go.
Oh.
Oh, and a new member, Vishanti, has joined as a tetrapod. Thank you very much, Vishanti. Only one more to go, guys. $1.99 a month from somebody, and we can get one new emoji. We'll be up to 10 emojis.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
It's fair to say something between 1st and 11th grade went wrong somewhere, and that's the biggest tragedy. Why is it that, for the average Joe, these ideas about existence and reality are so hard to understand without resorting to technical jargon?
Because reality is complicated,
Existence and
Jordan.
reality.
Like,
Yeah, no, seriously, what ideas is he talking about? He started with light, and then he's like these ideas about existence and reality. What ideas?
I think he's talking about quantum mechanics. I think.
Okay. Okay.
Is there a way that we can use
This is
geometry to
not very good
explain
at
and simplify
expressing.
these ideas in a way that works and makes sense that we can see? And most importantly, how can you use this information in a way to grow as a person? But let's not just build up beliefs about these topics. Let's expand our ability to create with them. It's often theorized, from creation myths, the flower of life geometry, and even in the Big Bang Theory, that light is among the first things created at the beginning of everything.
You know what? That is actually true. A lot of creation myths, as well as various interpretations of the Big Bang, do have light or photons, electromagnetic energy, as one of the very earliest things out there. So I want to give Jordan some credit here. Light is seen by a number of religions as well as science as one of the first things that you can really identify as existing in the universe. So props.
Okay.
So exploring and discovering how light works would be a fundamental piece of understanding everything. Particle physics is a branch of physics that studies the nature of the particles that constitute matter and radiation.
Also true. But the thing is, the standard model of quantum physics has what's basically a complete description of how light works. I mean, we're at the point now where we can predict. Now, one thing is, so photons are quantum particles, right? So you cannot accurately predict what any single photon is going to do because it's fundamentally stochastic, right? But we have statistical methods that exactly describe to insane levels of precision what a group of photons of various wavelengths or whatever are going to do in a certain physical situation. I mean, science probably understands light better than it understands anything else, I would hazard to say.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's some subjectivity in that assessment, but it's hard to think of anything that science has a better grasp on than how light works, because it's so predictable in terms of the statistical mathematics in quantum physics, which I'll be the first to admit, I don't know all of those equations and whatnot, and several of them are complicated enough that I don't want to have to ever use them. But yeah, like, quantum mechanics is basically the height of our precision and accuracy in terms of predictions in science. So I'm not sure what Jordan thinks we're going to discover in terms of the deep secrets of light that we haven't already discovered.
Yeah. Let's see what he's got to say.
It looks at the most fundamental and elementary particles that make up existence and how they behave. Particles in this sense are thought of as excitations in their corresponding quantum fields. In particle physics, scientists are trying to find the one thing that creates everything else, or at least the phenomenon that they are observing. It is closely related to quantum mechanics, which uses similar ideas to study the world at the subatomic level. Scientists in these fields have done a lot of work in theorizing and exploring a unified field theory.
Well, hold on, let's take a look at this, see if it works. So electronics, material sciences, classical mechanics. No, classical mechanics. Electronics is now well past classical mechanics. We're now at the point where quantum mechanics is definitely the
This is jumping a lot.
yeah, aerospace technology to fluid dynamics. I mean, kind of, but fluid dynamics also interacts with like material
the other-
sciences and statistical physics, thermodynamics, laser
Yep.
technology.
So-
Yeah. This
Yeah,
is
they interact with each other too, isn't it? And yeah, not very accurate diagram, I guess.
yeah, this is sort of a nonsense chart as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it's
Also,
I'm disappointed.
thermodynamics doesn't go anywhere else, even though it really should tie in very heavily to quantum mechanics. There should be a big ol'
Yeah,
arrow
like-
there.
and and also, for example, like the arrow above thermodynamics, it's like is it pointing to material sciences or computer science?
So, I think it's pointing to material sciences, and I think computer science just... Oh, you know what? Okay, hold on. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky. I'm going to give Jordan some benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's actually that these different arrows aren't going directly between these levels. Maybe it's just like the top level interfaces with the middle level and the middle level interfaces with the bottom level, and we shouldn't read too much into the individual arrows. Maybe
Okay.
maybe that's the point. In which case I would say, well,
I would have
doesn't
gotten 0 if I made this diagram in a test. Let's just say.
yeah, but I do think it's probably not quite as dumb as we were just saying, because I think we were taking it way too literally. Which, I mean, look, Jordan says
Then
so
why
much
make a diagram if you can't take it literally?
I mean,
It's
fair.
supposed to help. It's supposed to help people picture, right? The relationship between whatever they're trying to represent, right?
Yeah.
That's what diagrams are for. Flowcharts are for because it's for people like me who sometimes get jumbled up in words.
Yeah.
So a good pictorial representation works for us, visual cues. So this is not good enough unless they have something at the bottom explaining about the diagram. Then it might
It might.
be useful. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Which argues that everything in the universe is connected through an infinite web of something.
Oh, we got a question. For those of you just joining us, first, please hit like, or dislike, I suppose. But this is a series in which I am examining some of the long-form content that Spirit Science has put out. And let's see, electromagnetic... So, okay, now this is... So these lines here make me think that I'm less accurate in what I was saying about we shouldn't take the arrows literally, because these lines do actually seem like they're supposed to be that this is directly how this bottom row interacts with charged leptons, neutrinos, and whatnot. So I don't know anymore what I'm supposed to think about this. Jordan, figure out how to do diagrams. I don't know.
They're not sure what it is,
Yeah.
but we can see
okay.
how we're connected in
Sorry.
a grand and mysterious way. A fun example of this is touch. In our lives, we all have a fairly intuitive understanding of what it's like to touch something, right? You put your hand on a rock and it's pretty solid and usually cold and rigid.
So I live in the desert in Arizona. My experience with rocks lately has not been that they are cold. It has been that they are often very, very hot. So,
Cook an egg on it.
so you can't quite cook an egg outside here, but you could cook an egg in your car if you put like a frying pan on your car, but it would take a very long time. It would take a very long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you can do though is like, let's say you go to work and you leave your car uncovered. You can put like a baking sheet on your dashboard with little cookie dough on it, and it'll make cookies by the time you're done work.
Okay.
So yeah,
The digital demonic Davros are unsubbing. That's sad, mate. Hopefully you'll get you back one day. They're like, okay, I'm unsubbing. There's a criminal in your member. Bye, Dapper. Enjoy getting your channel destroyed. Ooh, that's harsh.
okay, bye. I don't.
Yeah, like if he wants to talk to you, maybe they can message you on Twitter or something, and you can have a discussion about it, what they mean by it. But I guess
Okay.
that's sad.
I
See
mean,
you around, mate.
yeah, I have no idea what just happened, but okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You've never actually touched anything in your life. Let me explain. You would know from high school physics that charges repel, right? So electrons have negative charge and surround the nucleus of an atom in a kind of probability cloud. The thing is, negative charge repels negative charge. So when you're sitting on your couch, the electrons in your butt are actually repelling the electrons in the couch. So technically, you are levitating via electromagnetic repulsion at an infinitely small distance.
First, it's not infinitely small. We can measure the distances there. But
My butt is not touching my seat. What?
that's the thing, though. It is, though, because what we mean by touching is when... Because he is right that the thing that keeps you from going through matter and that lets you push against matter is the electromagnetic force interactions between the various atoms that are touching, right? But, like, that's just what touch is. You describing it on a smaller scale doesn't mean you're not doing it, right? It's like saying, oh, you're not drinking water, you're just allowing water molecules to go down into your digestive tracts. Like, yeah, that's what that means.
Yeah, like my butt is levitating on my chair. Okay. It's what? It's like he's nitpicking too much, it feels like that. Just to make one point. And I don't know how he's going to get to his point because now he's switched again. I guess he's going to like our senses of touch, and maybe that will include seeing, and that's why that's where light comes in, and that's how he's going to tie in all of it together. But I still don't know where he's running with this. It's very confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, also, apparently, Digital Demonic Diverse was talking about our newest member, Vishanti.
Okay.
Look, here's the thing, guys. Two things. This is just a general thing for how this works. I don't control who clicks join buttons, and even if I did, unless you've been actively harassing me or my friends and I know about it, I'm gonna let whoever comes in. And if you guys don't like it, yeah, do feel free to unsubscribe. Especially if you're someone who doesn't really participate a whole lot. So, I'm not taking this as a loss, because here's one thing. I lost a subscriber and gained a member. Members are more valuable than subscribers, because guess what, guys? I mean, members help keep this going in a direct way, right? So if you sign up as a tetrapod, you're directly supporting the channel.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they have every right to unsubscribe. That's fine. That's their right. But yeah, if they want to talk to, like, it's just happened. Like, someone became a member, right? Why not talk to Dapper about it if you really want to understand what's going on before blaming Dapper for it, right? That's unfair. But I guess.
Well, we'll
I don't
keep
know,
going
some
with
people are-
Jordan.
Yeah, let's go. Jordan, you're focusing on Jordan. Let's go.
Jordan.
But you can feel the couch behind you, right? So what's going on? Well, long story short, your body and brain communicate through electrical impulses and signals. So it's simply converting that electromagnetic repulsion into a sensation that you feel physically. This brings up a big problem though. As you might have guessed, since atoms don't have boundaries in the same sense that we physically do here, our understanding of touch makes no sense in the atomic world. So there are three possible meanings of touch at the atomic level. 1, 2 objects influence each other. 2, 2 objects influence each other significantly. Or 3, 2 objects reside in the exact same location.
Okay, 1 and 2 sound exactly the same. So 2 objects influence each other, or they influence each other significantly. If you can measure the influence, then it's significant. And if you can't measure it, then how do you know they interacted?
Yeah, it's it's like I get that he's saying that 2 objects can interact with each other or influence each other. I get that. Like that's how we have a solar system, I guess.
Yeah.
But a couch and a butt does not have significant mass to influence each other, I'm afraid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess you could say they're interacting, and yeah, I guess I could say that might be a difference.
Well, my butt is making a big dent in my chair. Maybe that's how it's influencing it. But okay, let's go ahead. He's not reaching to the crux of this. Like, what's the point? Can you make the point? I'm just like right now clicking my fingers away. Can
Also,
get to it?
I'll point out that so when he says in the same place, there are ways in which you could say that 2 particles might have the same location, but they can't end up occupying all of the exact same quantum states due to what's called the Pauli,
No.
that's Pauli exclusion principle, which interestingly
Oh
enough,
yeah, Pauli. Yeah.
that's what holds up neutron stars. So here we go.
Again, he's obfuscating a lot of concepts here, and for someone like us who have studied these concepts, it's so confusing. Oh, Intrigued Feline is in the chat. Hi, Intrigued. How are you?
Hey,
Oh my lord, we are blessed
Intrigued
by the
Feline.
presence.
Intrigued Feline is a very smart individual who also does a whole ridiculous amount of research on all sorts of stuff,
God.
and just like I'm a very impressive individual. But here we go.
The
Oh,
problem
yeah.
is, the mainstream image of an atom isn't really very accurate. The electron doesn't spin around in a single location with a well-defined orbit like we see in textbooks. Actually, atoms are not really solid spheres at all.
Okay, this is true, but I'm going to contest Jordan's stance that the orbital, like where you actually have literal orbits of electrons model of atoms, is the mainstream one. So when we're talking about science, when I hear the word mainstream, what I hear is the consensus view of the experts in the field, who all know that the electron cloud is a more accurate description, and that the nucleus is composed of itself smaller particles that themselves are composed of smaller particles. Now, I also happen to know that even when I was in high school, which was not very recently, being, sort of an old man, someone I've made angry in the chat has disliked the video. Poor me. You know what the thing about dislikes are? They're still engagement. They still make YouTube promote my channel more. So dislike it as, please, anyone who wants to, dislike the video if you don't like it.
Oh man.
Yep. In fact, you know what?
get it.
Let's do it.
Express.
Everyone,
I-
everyone dislike this video. I don't want any likes on this video. Go just dislike it. Make this my most disliked video to date.
Okay.
Do
I
it.
guess.
Everyone, thumbs down.
Oh,
Thumbs down this
my
video.
Lord.
Make it so that
Okay.
for anyone who comes into this and they don't make it to like the half-hour mark, they're gonna be like, why does everyone hate this video? What did Dapper do?
Oh.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. In fact, that means I'm gonna have to open up like the watch link to see if it's actually happening. Because
Someone in the live chat, what's the TCT, sorry, TC, the Unbeliever, says my 1980s textbooks had electron clouds. Yeah.
anyone who comes into this
That's true.
and they get to like echo, sorry. Nice. I'm currently seeing 20 dislikes. I'm liking it, guys.
Holy shit!
Keep it going. Keep it
Switching.
going. So many
It's
dislikes.
switching like live for me. It like dropped from 18 to like 14, and I'm just like, what?
Yes. Get me all the dislikes. Okay.
Vishanti's like, the void commands it.
Alright, thank you guys. I really appreciate that, by the way.
Oh, Icarus is here. Hi, Icarus.
Hey, Icarus is here a lot. But all right, let's see what else Jordan has for us as for atoms and whatnot. While everyone dislikes this video as much as possible, guys, if you have alternate accounts, log in to give more dislikes.
They are fuzzy probability clouds filled with electrons spread out into waving cloud-like shapes called orbitals. They're kind of like actual clouds. They can have a location and shape, but no physical boundary. So in theory,
Yeah,
they could
that's-
overlap with each other.
No, it's not in theory. They do overlap with each other. I mean, I guess that is according to quantum theory. So yeah, I guess. But in theory, it usually isn't used that way. Usually it means like maybe this could even be the case. Like no, it is. They do overlap. I'm still seeing 11 likes on this video though. That's disturbing
Oh,
to me.
it's me. Sorry, my bad.
Wait, you're all 11 likes?
No, like it's one of them is me. Now I switched. Here you go.
Okay.
This is possible because atoms have regions of high density and regions of low density. When a physicist says we have an atom at point X, what they mean is that the high density portion of the atom's probability cloud is located at point X.
No, not really. Okay.
No,
So
no,
this is
high density look.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the language he's using.
so there are ideas that he's trying to get at in quantum mechanics that are valid ideas, but he's using such ridiculous language about them that it's more confusing than it needs to be. So, quantum objects in quantum dynamics have a probability function that that describes how likely they are to take any particular state. And a state includes a location, a momentum. It also includes things like, spin directionality, things like that, right? So, when you say that there is an atom here, what you mean is that at a certain location, you've measured there to be an atom within a certain defined volume, right? Because you can actually determine the location of atoms. And so, now, the more closely you determine the location of an atom, the less you know about its momentum, which includes, which direction it's traveling and stuff like that, and also how much energy it's traveling with. But it's not that there's a density to these waveforms, right? There's parts that have higher probability. There's no extra matter there, right? It's not like the atom exists everywhere at once. It's just mostly in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's
like, I don't know, maybe they're trying to just make it easier for the lay people to understand by using simpler language, maybe. But no, it's not simpler language anyways. It's not. I've seen my high school like professors use simpler language to explain this concept. I think he said they're just obfuscating it and making it more complex so that people just go with him. Oh yeah, he's using complex words. He knows what he's talking about, with a sprinkle of, correct concepts here and there. So people think, oh yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Let's keep, going along with him. So yeah, and I'm still wondering what's the point again.
yeah, that's a good
It's a
question.
long way, it's a lot. Like, make your point from the start and maybe then explain it so the audiences are hooked onto it from the start. But if you just mention a concept, he didn't even mention concept. He just said light and just went in on this tangent, and I'm just like, it's so distracting for me. I'm just like, what's your point, mate? I don't know.
Also, I gotta say real quick, I'm seeing 52 people watching right now, and not nearly that many dislikes. So guys, hit that thumbs down button to show how much you hate this channel.
Listen, I did not ask for this. Okay, this is
No,
Dapper.
you didn't. So the funny thing is, like, my channel has like a 98 point something % like to dislike ratio. And so I want to be able to see on my statistics that this is like way lower than my channel average. 'Cause my channel average is really high. And this one is going to be like it's currently at like almost a 40% downvote ratio.
Oh yeah. Mute Donkey in the live chat's like, Golden Unicorn, Dapper Dino, but Jordan doesn't like complex language.
No, he likes
Mate, you
complex
tell
language. He likes complex language. He just likes complex language that doesn't mean anything. That's why I was talking about, like, oh, this will have a higher vibrational density. It's like, that's a complicated sentence, I guess, but those words don't mean anything, buddy. He likes complex nonsense.
Vibrational density, vibrations is like frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying it's like more frequency in a minute, in a second? Like more like vibrations in a second or a minute? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
High vibrational density. Give me something more to compare it to. And it's like, gah.
All right, well, let's see what he has.
The whole thing. Since electrons behave like waves on a subatomic level.
No. The
What?
statistic... Okay, look. Electrons don't just behave like waves, right? They're the various probability waves. They're usually described with the Greek letter psi, the capital P-S-I, psi. Or psi.
Yeah.
Those are probability waves, and they do propagate as waves, but when electrons actually interact, they interact in a particle-like manner. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit more complicated than this, but the way you can think about it is when and where an electron will interact is described by a wave function, but when it interacts, it acts like a particle.
Yeah. And also, how are we switching from light? Like the basic,
electrons?
like the basic, like the basic, what do you say, the building block? Oh my god, I'm getting
Yeah,
done.
See,
photon.
Jordan is making you
And then
dumber.
he's made this switch to electron. What are you? I just are we going to talk about the that experiment where a scientist bombarded a gold foil with light particles to find out
hmm
how much how much space an atom occupied? Is that what it is about?
So
Is it where he's going? It's
it
so
might be
confusing.
related. And by the way, it was electrons that was used in that experiment to see how big the nucleus was.
Yeah, like what the nucleus consists of, or what the whole atom consists of. Also,
Yeah.
and they concluded mostly that the atom is empty.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
that maybe
yeah.
it's connected to that. I'm not sure. Well, let's see what happens. We'll find out.
Yeah.
If you were to put an electron in a box, only part of it is there.
No.
Huh?
Oh my goodness.
No.
Okay.
If you're putting a specific electron, it's in there.
Oh,
But yeah, depending on the size of the box, you can still maybe say, okay, it's probably in this part of the box.
Yeah.
But it's not a part of
So, okay, let's say we measure an electron to be inside of a box, right? That electron is really there. You've measured it to be there. Now, can it escape from the box? Yes. Does its psi wave extend beyond the box such that without having any interactions with the box, it could be later measured to be outside the box? Also, yes. But if you measure an electron as being in a location, it's in that location, down to the precision with which you measured it.
Yeah. Don't do that, Jordan. Come on, man. I had so much hope in you, and now, poof.
Did you
Like,
actually have so much hope in Jordan? Because I sure didn't.
And yeah, it sounded like that he knew what he was talking about. God damn it, Baka.
Yeah, he never does.
Part of its wave leaks through the walls of the box and out into infinity, something that makes quantum tunneling possible. In other words, then, if touching is taken to mean that two atoms influence each other, then atoms are always touching. Two atoms that are held a mile apart could still have their wave functions overlapping. In theory, two atoms
Wave
influence
functions overlapping.
Yeah, they will have their
What?
wave function. So the thing is, technically, that the psi wave never actually just goes away, right? It just becomes increasingly less likely that when you measure something, it will appear to be in some distant location from where it was last time. But
yeah,
just because two particles have, all particles have overlapping psi wave functions, but that doesn't mean that they're interacting, right?
No.
Things that are very distant, therefore have a very low chance of being measured close to each other. Therefore, they have a low chance of interaction. They're not just constantly interacting because the probability wave of various aspects of that particle's various characteristics happen to overlap in terms of space. That's not how physics works. This is just
That's
Jordan.
what I'm saying. It's like obfuscating so many topics and
Mhm.
still not getting to the bloody point.
Yeah. Well, maybe he will get to a point. We are stopping him pretty frequently, although we go through these so slowly.
Yeah.
each other no matter where they are in the universe because they extend out in all directions. In practice, though, if two atoms are more than a few nanometers apart, their influence on each other typically becomes so small that it's overshadowed by the influence of closer atoms, so it can be ignored.
No, it's not just the influence, because the only influence they're going to constantly have on each other is gravitational, and we don't even know how to do that at the quantum scale.
Yeah.
In terms of quantum mechanics, you either interact or you don't, right? So an interaction involves sorry, go ahead.
So is he saying interact? Does he mean influence? That's what he's trying to say?
Well, that's the
I don't
thing.
know.
It's not clear, because influence is one of those words that doesn't really get used in quantum mechanics, which is what he's talking about, but it does get used in things like relativity, right? So in relativistic terms, you're influenced gravitationally by all the matter basically that's within the cosmic horizon. And
apparently my butt is levitating on the chair though, so
well, yes.
It reminds me of the first time there's this one time when you're desperate to submit an assignment and you don't know where to get the material from. So you find another paper and you paraphrase that paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like. It's like this guy just went, maybe he got another video or someone talking about how electrons interact and how, photons and everything interact on like quantum level, and he just paraphrased the shit out of it. He paraphrased the shit out of the transcript. And that's why instead of using proper words that we use in science, he's using like some shitty words that he got suggested in the self-correcting
Real quick, we just hit 30
Grammarly or
dislikes.
something.
We just hit
Oh,
30 dislikes. This is by far my
I can
most
see
disliked.
31 here.
Oh, 31? Oh, thank you everybody for disliking this video. I really appreciate it. It's kind of amazing, and you guys are the best. I just want to put
Yeah.
that out there.
TC the unbeliever in the live chat said, "You open the box and find out if the electron is dead." Well, that becomes a Schrodinger's electron, isn't it?
Well, kind of. The whole point of the Schrodinger's cat idea
Donkey, yes.
is to like bring these weird quantum mechanics up to a scale that we can notice as like, regular old organisms at macroscopic scales. But
Yeah.
interestingly, you actually don't have to go to that crazy length to interact with some weird quantum phenomena. Here's one cool
No.
thing you can do. You know how at the end of 3D movies they ask you to throw out your glasses? Well, before
Yeah.
you do that, or maybe just take them home or something. Like, no, well, if only take them home if they're the cheap paper ones that they're going to destroy later. If they're the nice plastic ones that they're going to clean, don't take them home. That's a jerk move. But here's what I want you to do. Go with like 3 friends to a movie that has 3D effects using the polarized lenses. Then take your 3 3D glasses and put them so that one set of lenses is over another set so that you can't see through the lens, right? So you're going to be at 90 degrees to each other. But then, between them, put the third lens at a 45-degree angle, and some light will come through. And I'm not going to spoil it right now as to exactly what the explanation there is, but trust me, when you do that and then look up why that happens, it's way more weird and complicated and mind-blowing than you think.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is not something, like, unless we get to this in this video, I'm not going to address the whole polarized lights and hidden variables and stuff. But yeah, that experiment right there is something that we've used to demonstrate quite conclusively that quantum mechanics really is just randomness happening at predictable randomness, like not completely, there's no way to predict it. It's statistical, but it's also stochastic. But here we go.
But in theory, everything is connected to everything else in one big quantum field of some kind.
No.
With things at the smallest level phasing in and out of existence within it.
That's not how... Okay, look, virtual particles are a thing, but things that aren't virtual particles don't just phase in and out of existence just randomly. And things that are virtual particles themselves tend to quickly annihilate and then reset everything to zero.
Yeah.
Oh, and apparently Veritasium has a video about what I was just talking about with polarized light. Well, if Veritasium has a video on it, there's a very good chance it's quite good and well researched. So I would highly recommend the Veritasium video then.
Oh, cool.
As our sciences have looked smaller and smaller to find the smallest particle, we have reached a point where things get so small that we can no longer define what they look like. We try and define what particles are through abstract concepts in mathematics because we say that particles are unseeable and unknowable.
Well, it depends on what you mean by see, right? So,
yeah, again.
What does it mean? The thing is, what does it mean to see anything? Well, okay, let's say I'm looking at, so I'm looking around my desk. All right, so I got my phone in my hand right now. I'm looking at my phone. Mm-hmm. So photons are hitting my phone, and my phone is also producing some photons because, it's got a screen that lights up. And the photons are going into my eye and interacting with my cornea. And then my cornea, having detected photons, is sending signals to my brain, which is then interpreting them. Okay, well, when we quote-unquote see a subatomic particle, the subatomic particle is produced, usually in some kind of particle accelerator, and then it interacts with something that records that interaction. And then we, not me personally, but scientists, humans, then go interpret that detection. that's not seeing it, right? Like, there's really not a big
if you can
conceptual
detect
difference.
it, in that way, then you cannot detect again the where the electron is present in an atom or in a certain space.
Right.
Just cause you can't see it, but we can predict it. So as long as you can predict it, yeah, again, like you said, what do they mean by seeing?
Right.
Again, paraphrasing a technical paper last minute before
And the thing
submitting an
is,
assignment.
if by see you mean directly detect with our eyes, then yeah, sure, we cannot directly detect most subatomic particles with our eyes.
Yeah.
But that's like kind of a stupid way to define, oh, we can't see these particles in terms of science, because that's what we build tools for. Humanity is all about building tools to do things that our bodies couldn't do otherwise, right? And this is from before Homo sapiens was even a species, right? Even before Homo sapiens, humans were like,
Yeah.
well, we don't have big teeth or claws, but we've got sharp rocks.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, it's like again, what's the point? Number one, again, this I see a steady pattern, like light, seeing reality, understanding reality. Okay, we can't see certain things. Okay, at certain when we go down to certain level. Okay, I see a pattern there, but what is the point you're trying to make? Again, how many minutes have we been in?
I think we've watched about 5 minutes in the last hour or so.
Okay, all right, let's continue.
Okay.
And yet things are always going to get smaller and smaller. Everything is made of something else, and it fractals down to infinity, or it spirals off larger to infinity either way.
I hate the use of the word fractal as a verb,
Yeah.
and I don't really have anything else to say, but it's not a verb, Jordan. Stop it.
It,
Some scientists have actually been known to cut infinite numbers when they find them, because they're deliberately looking for finiteness instead of embracing the infinite nature and puzzle of reality.
Okay, no. What happens is some
Still-
numbers are irrational, right?
yeah,
What irrational means is you cannot describe it as the ratio of any two whole numbers. Any two whole real numbers, I guess, right? Because
Yeah.
then we get into imaginary numbers and whatever. Okay, so the reason that you have to at some point round an irrational number is twofold. One, it's literally impossible to know all the digits because you can't possibly store infinite information in any finite information storage device. And all we have are finite information storage devices. So you cannot use the entirety of a number in any calculation if it's irrational. And two, at a certain point, extra digits is going beyond the level of precision that you can measure. So any additional digits aren't going to help you. So for instance, let's say I want to use pi, right? And so I want to measure I want to calculate the circumference of a circle, but I only really have access easily to its diameter, right? Okay, well, it's easy enough to get that using the number pi. But
yeah,
if I can only measure it down to the centimeter, I don't really need to use pi to, 8 million digits. Because chances are, 10 digits are probably going to go beyond my ability to tell the difference in terms of my measurement devices. So why bother? And yeah, TC the Unbeliever says, rounding is not magical. It's neither magical nor is it inappropriate. I feel like Jordan just doesn't understand things like significant figures, right? So if your measurement has 5 significant figures,
yeah.
and-
It depends on what are you measuring for,
right.
and how you round off your numbers,
Right.
at what level till what accuracy you want to go to. That's what it is about.
Yeah,
Yes, there are some numbers that can go off to infinity, and some mathematicians keep it like that because they want to explain a certain mathematical concept. So
oh,
yeah,
here's
go on.
something interesting. So because pi has infinitely many digits, and it's non-repeating, and there's no particular pattern, then the exact transcript of our entire dialogue, as well as Jordan's lines throughout this whole thing, can be found in pi somewhere, formatted as a properly formatted screenplay text in binary somewhere in there.
Ooh,
Because
yes.
all combinations of numbers have to occur in pi at some point. So somewhere deep in the depths of the various digits of pi is a series of zeros and ones that describe this entire conversation.
Nice. Nice.
Good luck finding it. All right, here we go.
It's something that scientists all over the world are trying to figure out. See, the speed of light is about 299,792,458 meters per second.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind just a tiny bit because I want to actually have that screen up. Come on.
It's something that scientists all over the world are trying to figure out. See, the speed of light is about 299 million.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure that the actual number was on screen, right? Because there's an important point I want to make about the speed of light. So it is not about 2,999,792,458 meters per second. It is exactly that, down to as many zeros as you would like to draw on the end of that 8. And here's the reason, right? The meter is now defined by how far light travels in a second, right? The meter is now literally defined as 1,299,792,458 of its distance that a photon travels in a vacuum in a second.
Yeah.
Now, previous experiments that used to measure the speed of light now measure the length of the meter.
Yeah.
So, Jordan is wrong that it's about this. It is precisely this.
Precisely that, yeah.
Right. Because the meter is now defined by use of this number, not the other way around. The meter has had many definitions over the course of history. Originally, it was defined as a certain fraction of the polar radius of Earth, right? That's no longer the case. We now define it by the speed of light. So, yeah, Jordan is extremely wrong when he says it's about this, because he is getting wrong how these things are defined.
Ah,
Yeah, it's
surprise.
yeah. Now, to be fair to him, like, it probably wasn't that case for his whole life. Like, when I was growing up, this wasn't the case. You could still measure the speed of light in meters. But it is now the case that you can no longer do that. Instead,
Yeah. It used to be like this
there used to be a
God
metal
damn it,
rod,
this
wasn't
metal
there?
somewhere. Yeah, a metal somewhere kept which was
I
a
think it was
certain length.
I feel like it was in
Yeah.
France. But I also feel like that could have just been my French teacher telling me that. Because she also made me
Yeah.
memorize the French national anthem.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so there's only a few national anthems that I can actually like actively like remember the words and music to and whatnot. And one of them is France, specifically because of my high school French teacher. But you know what? We're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to be gone for about 4 minutes. I think maybe Golden Unicorn here might like some fresh tea. Although how she holds tea with that one hoof is a curiosity to me. I'd like to see that someday.
Oh well, you forgot magic.
Oh, that's right. You got magical shapeshifting powers. You can just turn
Well, my
into a
blood
human.
levitates on my seat, so why can't my cup of tea?
All right, guys. We're going to be back in about 4 minutes. And remember, if you like this video, hit the dislike button because of reasons to do with trolling. Hit that dislike button, and we will be right back.
Make this troll work, guys. Let's go.
I want to take a moment to talk about something serious. There is a problem facing late surviving non-avian dinosaurs in modern America. Hunting is very strictly regulated, and only allowed at certain times of the year. This means that for much of the year we have to rely on farm-raised food, which means money. If you want to help a starving dinosaur, please consider donating on Patreon, or buying from my merch store. Links are in the description. Please help. Dinosaurs all over YouTube are depending on you to help them through the hunting off-season.
お何誰おこちらですかはい、ゴジラさん。はい。
Hey everybody, we are back. I have some. So I normally don't drink any caffeine after noon my time. So this is extremely late for me to be having caffeine. In fact, actually, my family, well, some of my family was in town a few weeks ago, and they were like, "Oh, hey, let's go stop by and get some coffee." And it's like 1:30 p.m. I'm like, I don't know, it's a little late for me to have coffee. And they're like, what? Yeah, I'm trying to cut back. But anyway, but it's been a long day already, and I have a long time to go before I'm officially done for the day. So yeah, caffeine was in order, and I believe my esteemed co-host grabbed some caffeine as well.
Almost there.
Oh, okay.
Getting
So is
warmed
it
up.
still
It's
steeping?
never like warm enough for me.
Ah.
Like I have to boil the water, I have to put the tea bag in, and then some milk, and then I heat it up again in the microwave.
Well, the milk is going to cool it down, so yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so it's never warm enough.
Yep. Oh, is it like Dora? I'm going to go with
What?
cool. So Dora here in chat, and I'm going to go cool with the pronunciation of NKU. I don't know. Is it like or dislike Godzilla? Look, Godzilla. I don't normally say this, right? Normally, I'm all on board with whatever Godzilla is saying, but today, Godzilla doesn't know what he's talking about. It's dislike. He didn't get the memo. All right, let's get you some more Jordan in here.
792,458 meters per second. What we know in the field of science is that there's something that translates these particles from one side of the equation to the other, from the world of no mass into the world of mass.
What particles? Photons?
Is he talking about electrons, or is he talking about photons? And also, like, they already exist. They don't need to be. What did he say? It's like he's talking. It's like he's talking about magic in a way.
Yeah.
Like, write something into existence. Explaining a concept through mathematical models is not bringing something into existence. What the fuck?
Also, I hate this Vesca Piscis thing because that electron cloud is spherical. It's not shaped anything like the Vesca Piscis, which is...
No.
So, I have been informed, this is not something I already knew, but I've been informed that that is the shape that you get in 2D by overlapping two circles such that the edge of one circle hits the center point of the other and vice versa, so they're equally sized circles. And you can generalize that to 3D by using spheres instead of circles. But no, hydrogen atom electron clouds are not in the shape of a Vesca Piscis. It's not. No, none of this, Jordan. Stop it.
So that's why it makes me think that he's got these animations from some sort of like a vault or something, you know, online, like stock images, because it's not accurate.
Maybe, but the other thing is, though, I mean...
hydrogen atom.
If you look at it, though, that's his character holding it, so I think this is original art for the channel.
I don't know. That type of character is quite common. I've seen that a lot.
That could be, and we were actually talking, we were a little bit off air, that maybe he's hired someone, and I don't know. Like, I don't know if Jordan is actually the one who does his own art.
I don't know if the hydrogen atom is represented by the Vesca Piscis.
It's not. Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing is just
Yeah.
crazy. But let's see what he
Okay,
goes,
let's
where he
go.
goes with it.
Yeah.
If you ask a scientist this question, they would tell you that it's the Higgs field, the ever-permeating field that gives things mass.
Some things are given mass by the Higgs field, not everything. So that's not actually accurate. And the thing is, look, I don't know enough about the Higgs field to be super eloquent on it, but I do know that things like protons and neutrons and whatnot do not get their mass from the Higgs field. So, or at least I'm extremely confident. I could be wrong. I'm not a quantum physicist. We should get King Crocoduck on here for this.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Golden Unicorn, you're out of here. Once I find how to get a hold of King Crocoduck and have him on my show.
All right, cheers. Bye, everybody. Good night. Oh, okay.
In essence, light-speed particles pass through the Higgs field and slow down and gain a property of mass. The popular Higgs boson is the particle that is created upon the light-speed particle merging with the Higgs field. According
What?
to our formulas,
No, because then... No, you know what?
let's
I
move.
can't even
I
process
think so. He
it.
has a
this boson
yeah, nah. He's like, let's see if he's trying to make a point or something.
Okay.
He's still not made his point in 5 minutes.
along with the particle, is supposed to come out having gained some mass and slowed down. But I think there's an important piece of information that we're missing here though, and it starts with asking some questions. First of all, what even is mass? Mass is said to represent an amount of matter, but even mass
Yeah, that's not a great definition, although I get why we're giving it to
Oh.
kids. So there's two definitions for mass. And we don't know why, but these two definitions always end up resulting in the same measurements. So mass is, on the one hand, a resistance to acceleration. Right, so the more massive it is, the more energy you have to input into whatever system it is in order to get it to change its velocity. Okay, but to a certain amount, right? The
Yeah.
other definition of mass is that property of matter which gravitationally attracts it to other bits of matter with mass. And the amount of mass you have is directly proportional to the amount of gravitational attraction that you feel from other things. How much other things feel from this particular object, right? Now, there's no particular reason that we know of. This is still an open question in science. Why mass in terms of momentum, or resistance to change in acceleration, and mass in terms of gravity always line up exactly, right? So if you double your gravitational mass, you've doubled your mass in terms of resistance to acceleration. We don't know why.
Yeah.
So we do have definitions for it, though. But
Yeah.
maybe... Look,
Mass, no mass.
matter has no universally agreed upon definition.
no, it has two.
What?
I
You
just...
baka.
I hate it whenever I describe something and then Jordan immediately was like, no. And it happens a
No.
lot in this series. Oh, Jordan.
Yeah.
The conventional one is that matter is any substance that has mass and takes up space by having volume, which kind of seems counterintuitive. The
What?
thing is, mass has a good abstract or mathematical definition as the property or charge that gives rise to the gravitational field.
No, it's not a charge. Charge is an entirely different thing. Charge has to do with electromagnetism.
Yeah.
And I guess you could define it as that thing that gives rise to the gravitational field, but at that point, you're basically just, you're going with gravitational definition.
Gravitational field is not electromagnetic field, and you don't need a charge for that. What the fuck? Like, it's been like a decade it's been 5 years since I completed my master's, okay, and I haven't gone back. But even I remember this basic concept. Like, you do remember these basic concepts, and this is ridiculous. Jordan, come on, mate.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do there?
Oh, we have an interesting question in the chat. And this is from Sunday Worship. Not
Oh,
worship,
nice name.
worship.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Can any of you smart people explain the significance of the recently observed mass difference between charm meson and its antiparticle? I gather it's unexpected, but I don't really understand. Unfortunately, I cannot because I am unfamiliar with the observation. And I also am not sufficiently familiar with things like quantum chromodynamics
too.
and stuff to really give an estimate on that. So there are, however, some people that I would suggest instead of me, like so people like King Crocoduck or Martimer in terms of YouTubers. And also check out things like PBS Spacetime. I'm sure they're going to do a video on it. Unfortunately, like, I know a little, I probably know more than average Joe on the street about this stuff, but like, I'm really not an expert at it. And
So yeah,
go ahead.
I just searched for it on Google, and they're saying that CERN have measured like tiny mass difference between particles, and I think so. That's what they're asking about. That
Okay.
why it might be, and it's like 10 to the power of minus, oh my lord, so many zeros. Almost like 12 zeros or something. So yeah, and I think so. They minus 38 grams. Yeah, 10 raised to the power minus 38 grams. So what they're saying, what this article says is that the LHCb collaboration has measured a difference in mass between two particles of 10 raised to the power minus 38 grams. The result reported in a paper just submitted for publication in the Journal of Physical Review Letters and presented today in CERN seminar marks a milestone in study of how a particle known as d raised to the power 0 meson changes from matter to antimatter and back. Okay.
I also want to point out that
So
we had this is real quick and a bit off topic, but we had a troll say, I'm going to unsubscribe. During the course of the stream, I've gained in my subscriber count, not lost. So there you go.
oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted that out there.
Nah, that's good news, mate. That's awesome. Continuing with that like article, they're saying that the d raised to the power I don't know, or 0 meson is one of the only 4 particles in the standard model of particle physics that can turn or oscillate into their antimatter particles, which are identical to their matter counterpart in most ways. The other 3 are K0 meson and the 2 types of B mesons. Mesons are part of the large class of particles made up of fundamental particles called quarks and contain 1 quark and 1 antimatter quark. The D0 meson consists of a charm quark and an up antiquark, while its particle, the anti-D0, the antiparticle, sorry, consists of a charm antiquark and an up quark. Okay. In the strange world of quantum physics, just as Schrodinger's notorious cat can be dead and alive at the same time, the D0 particle can be itself and its antiparticle at once. This quantum superposition results in 2 particles, each with their own mass, a lighter and a heavier D meson, known technically as D1 and D2. It is the superposition that allows these zeros to oscillate into antiparticle and back. The D0 particles are produced in proton-proton collisions at the Large Hadron Collider, sorry.
No worries.
And they travel on average only a few millimeters before transforming or decaying into other particles.
Okay. Well,
yeah, that's interesting.
Here's my favorite thing about that.
Yeah.
I was right that it had to do with quantum chromodynamics.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, a big win.
Yay,
because
everybody.
I know very little about that level of detail.
To celebrate.
Yes. If you remember, put in a Murphy emoji, and I'll show you which one is the Murphy in case you guys don't know. So the Murphy
I'm not
emoji.
A member, so I don't know. Yeah, I can't see those emojis, right? Or I can.
Well, you know, golden unicorn. You just could become one.
Yeah.
Or not.
Are you tempting me?
Oh, of course I'm tempting you. You get access to emojis. In fact, if you join, you would be the one who I think puts us over the limit and could spawn the golden unicorn emoji.
Uh-huh.
Alright, we're gonna play though.
Which, as it turns out, is pretty much exactly the same thing as the property of inertia, which is what Newton was on about with his whole F equals ma thing.
No, the mysterious thing is it isn't the same as inertia, right? It's different. Inertial mass has
Yeah.
a different kind of definition than gravitational mass, and we don't know why. For all Jordan's talk about how much he cares about mystery and wonder and awe, you could notice that it's right here. But he doesn't.
Ay, 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 ay,
All right, here we go.
ay. Ay, okay, let's go.
While we can think about mass like this, there's not really a good way to visualize what it actually is. And
Well, thank you to Golden Unicorn for becoming a tetrapod member on the channel. I will double check to make sure that we do in fact get the new emoji. I checked earlier this morning and I needed 2 new members. So assuming we do, I will be adding a Golden Unicorn emoji as threatened and or promised, depending on your
Threatened?
point of view.
Threatened?
Or promised,
Seriously?
depending on your point of view. But thank you very much for joining the channel. And by the way,
Why
guys,
is that guy wearing pink pants and trying to weightlift without wearing any shoes?
yeah, no shoes seems like a really bad idea. I mean, as far as
Yeah.
pink pants go, like, hey, dude, he can wear whatever he wants in terms of pants. It's no skin
Yeah.
off my back. But yeah, wear
Maybe-
some shoes. Be safe.
Yeah. No, not like that. Safety first. People, safety first.
Yeah.
part of the reason for that lies in how physics studies and defines things. At the moment, physics is very good at answering the how questions.
Oh, and Robert Madwell, thank you very much for upgrading your membership to Amniote.
Thanks, mate.
I really appreciate that, and it does mean that now I'm definitely going to have to make a new credit scene. Because if nothing about my credit scene changes, I don't update it. But at Amniote, you do get mentioned in there, so thank you very much. I really appreciate it, you guys. It really does help keep the channel going, because I spend a lot of time trying to make this channel work. I'm often doing 60, 70 hours of channel stuff in a week.
Oh,
So
god
Yeah.
dang.
yeah, I spend a lot of time making sure that you guys get some content that you're gonna like. So I really appreciate it.
Usually by making some informed assumptions based on observation and evidence. But we have no way of seeing how those assumptions emerge or why they are the way they are. At the moment, we have to just take the fundamental forces as fundamental until we gain a new paradigm of understanding that allows us to look at where things emerge from and eventually return to.
What does it mean return to?
Yeah, right now I've just given up. I'm just trying to figure out what, like, I'm trying to reach
That's it. We
to
broke.
the point.
We broke
he's trying to
Golden
point.
Unicorn. She's done
God
now.
damn it. Yeah, my ass is officially now levitating above my seat.
You're gonna have to spend the rest of the day letting your brain recover.
Yeah.
In that case, maybe we can link mass with inertia and think of it as being a manifestation of a disturbance of some kind in the universal ether grid thingy that
What?
The universal ether grid thingy? You're gonna have to be way more specific, Jordan, if you want anyone to take
Ether
that
grid
seriously.
Thingy.
Ether grid.
Yeah, now we know he's bullshitting thingy.
My goodness, that is actual word salad right there. Man, I feel like it needs some
Deepak
croutons.
Chopra and he should have a competition on what's the most weirdest thing they can come up with. Oh my lord.
Man. All right, here we go.
gives rise to everything. Talking about whether light has mass can be even harder though.
No, it has no rest mass. It has inertial mass as a result of the
Wow.
fact that it has an energy that it can impart to particles with mass,
Yeah.
which then can change their momentum.
Yep.
Yeah.
Light is made up of photons, so we could ask if a photon has mass, and the answer to that is usually no. The photon is a massless particle. According to physics, it has energy and momentum, but no mass.
Yes.
But even then, there are still debates about which kinds of mass we're talking about.
What?
In other words, because photons have energy, and as Einstein taught us, energy is equal to the mass of a body multiplied by the speed of light squared, E equals mc squared, how can photons have energy if they have no mass?
Oh. Okay. Hold
You
on.
wanna
I need to
explain
collect
that?
my thoughts because this is
Yeah.
dumb.
Calm down, take a deep breath.
I know. Okay, so when we say that photons have no mass, we mean they have no rest mass. So, photons can't be at rest. However, we can measure their rest of mass by looking at how much the mass changes when they are absorbed by some other particle. So, for instance, when a photon hits an electron, does the electron's mass go up as a result of having absorbed a photon? The answer is that no, its rest mass does not go up. It remains the same. Now, it starts to end up having a higher, its momentum goes up, right? And it may change in direction, but it will increase, right? So it may have now a higher inertial mass because, as we know from Einstein, as things go faster and faster, they effectively gain more inertial mass. And when we're talking about mass, we're normally talking about rest mass. But yeah, no, we've experimentally verified many, many times that the photon does not have any rest mass, which is what we mean normally when we're talking about something having or not having mass overall. The minute... So I don't know why we're talking about whether or not photons have mass. It is interesting to talk about the fact that they can impart momentum, and momentum is normally something that you can impart with mass on classical scales. But we're not dealing at classical scales. And Robert Madewell, I'll tell you what, I will tell Gutsa Gibbon you want her to activate memberships. Well, for one thing, I'll bet she'd have some cool emojis. So let's keep going with this. This is making my brain hurt, and I'm glad that we're already about 3/4 of the way done with the stream because I don't know if I could keep this much nonsense going.
Oh.
Actually, what Einstein was saying here is that energy and mass could be the same thing. In other words, all energy has some form of mass.
No.
Light may not have rest.
No. Not all
Energy and mass are not the same thing. Sorry, no, Einstein didn't say that.
Right.
He's just making assumptions now. Don't speak for Albert Einstein, you fool.
So you can convert energy into mass and mass into energy. And so for that reason, you can kind of think of mass as a form of energy. But it's not that energy is a form of mass. Massless particles are obligated by physics to travel at the speed of light. So if it's ever not traveling at the speed of light, you have a massive particle. And all particles can be divided into, they can be divided a lot of ways, but one of the ways you can divide particles is into those that do travel at the speed of light and those that do not. The ones that don't have mass. Sorry, the ones that do travel at the speed of light don't have mass. The ones that don't do. And just because you can convert mass into energy and energy into mass, it doesn't mean that they're the same thing. It's sort of like steam and ice aren't the same thing, even though you can convert one into the other. And in some ways, they're composed of the same kind of thing, and that's fair enough. But they're not the same thing. You can't pretend that they are. And that's not a great analogy, but it's an okay-ish analogy.
Mass, known as invariant mass, i.e. the weight that describes the heft of an object. But because of Einstein's theory and the fact that light behaves like it has mass, in that it's subject to gravity, we can say that mass and energy exist together. In that case, we'd call it relativistic mass. Mass when an object is in motion as opposed to at rest.
Yeah, he's right. Light has a relativistic or inertial mass. But that doesn't mean that it has a rest mass, which is what he's trying to get to.
I think so he's confused. He's just taken, oh yeah, it's mass, so it's the same mass in both the cases. And I think so that's where we'll see the fundamental, misunderstanding and how he will build on that and just runs with it. Yeah.
So technically, we could say that a box of light weighs more than a box without light. Sure, as long as we're measuring the amount of energy as the weight, not something on a scale like kilograms or pounds.
So he's actually not entirely wrong here. If you could somehow get a box in which light is infinitely bouncing around back and forth in the box, then anytime you move the box in one direction or another, you would actually have additional resistance, because if you do all the math and you say, okay, well, as you accelerate the box, more electrons are hitting the and in the opposite direction of the motion or acceleration. Therefore, it's harder to accelerate because it's imparting a counter force through its interactions with that side of the box. Yes, and then if you continue on with doing all the rest of the math, you will find, in fact, that you can also increase your rest mass of the box effectively.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
Box
mean the
will start
photons.
vibrating and moving. Yeah.
Right, but that describes one of the reasons why we consider mass to be a somewhat emergent property. But just because mass is an emergent property that comes from things that fundamentally themselves do not have mass, that doesn't mean that mass is something that is a property of things that don't have mass otherwise.
Yeah. He's confused, I think so at this point. He got confused.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is crazy. But hey, do remember to dislike this video. As many dislikes as we can get. I want this thing to get to 100 dislikes. 100 dislikes or I quit YouTube. That's not true.
Because of all of our fancy equations as described earlier, we have kind of thrown all ideas about what light could actually look like out the window in favor of complex equations that describe it instead.
It's because it doesn't look like anything except what your eyes see, Jordan. When you say something looks like something, it literally just means how do humans see it.
Yeah, like there are insects who see more than we do. There are like animals who see better than us, or like is it? Oh, it's so shallow. It's so shallow. Man, there's so much potential in all that. What you're talking about, the concepts. If you go studying them and looking for them, but he's so focused on making a point. It's become so shallow, and I still don't know what's the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to offer a different perspective. As mentioned before, what if we could know the shape of light? What if we could actually define what the structure of light was?
Finally.
What if there was
Yeah,
a basic geometry of
there.
the universe that we were missing? Even more interestingly, what if light was a geometric form and there was no difference between the geometry of light and the simplest particle? What if the difference between mass and no mass was not about the speed that it traveled, but also the density of the information held within this fundamental shape, this form?
Density
Maybe the speed of the particle.
information.
Yeah, that's another thing. Look, go ahead, Golden Unicorn.
Density of information held within this shape. Are you trying to give it more value than it is? Photon has a set value, right? Are you trying to give it more value? What more information are you looking for? And what density of information? It's all this like woo-woo shit again.
Yeah.
Deepak Chopra shit.
The thing
It's
is,
like,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
and if I may just finish this thought. Why is the shape of the photon so important to you?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
That's a weird thing. Like, oh, maybe it's like
obsessing over this
or...
weird thing. Yeah, like and how knowing the that where we started from was, if we know the shape of photon, we might know and control the reality.
Mm-hmm.
What? And how did he reach? Like, how is he saying that? Oh, I get it that he's like, oh, if we knew the shape of photon to be something like as predictable as what we have, just like where's an electron present and what spin and yada yada yada. I get it. Okay, it's a very good concept. But what are you trying to achieve through this concept? What's the purpose? I don't get it. I still don't get it, and it's irritating the hell out of me. Yeah. This rant was brought to you by Golden Unicorn. Go ahead, Dapper.
So another thing is, Jordan uses the word density to mean almost nothing, right? So the basic use of density is amount of mass per unit volume. Done. Now, you can analogize to say, okay, what if we use the amount of something else per unit volume, right? So let's say we had a hard drive, right? And we could say, okay, what's the volume of the hard drive and what's the amount of information it can store in terms of bits, right? Well, then you could say, okay, so it has a certain information density. And you know what? As long as you describe that, that's fair. But Jordan just seems to think that density just describes some nebulous quality that he either likes or doesn't like depending on his mood. I don't get it. Maybe a photon is a tiny Merkaba, says Robert Madewell. Yeah, maybe. Goodness. I don't know if you saw them, Golden Unicorn, but the first video of Jordan's I took a look at was his human history video,
Uh-huh.
and it's utterly insane. Everything about it. Did you know that Jews are actually from the future of space?
Ah.
Yeah. The ancient Hebrews came from space in the future to ancient Earth to live in Atlantis because they failed to develop, which
See.
itself sounds pretty anti-Semitic, but I will leave that for other people to figure out. I'm not touching that one. But
Aliens,
yeah.
seriously. Okay. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Is interdependent upon the information that was carried within it. And the more information it holds, the denser it becomes. I have a few
What?
conceptual examples.
The more information, the photon?
He's talking about, yeah, he's like talking about information density of the photon, which we don't know anything about. 1, 2, he's like, again, like building up on that assumption, like, oh, if it had more information, it would become more dense, like a particle with mass. I guess that's what he's trying to do. That's not how it works, buddy. That's not how it
Vishanti says it's
You
true.
cannot
I'm
just
3
throw
aliens
out
in
a
a trench coat.
concept. Yeah, you just can't like throw out a concept and just start building on it like that. You gotta give me a proof of what you're saying. How did you come to that? What mathematical model you used to say, oh, what you just started with what if and you just ran with it. Now you're just running with it.
Yeah.
What if? No, 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 no. It's ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous.
All right,
Sorry.
guys. Right now, I'm going to confirm something just to make sure. Yep. According to YouTube, I currently have 9 out of 10 emojis. So that means I can add one. So after we get out of here, and before I go on Vandalia 1998's channel, I'm going to work on a thumbnail for the after show for tonight and an emoji to add to the channel. Yeah,
Hey, listen, there's no pressure, and just like make the emoji that you want, that you were planning on. Don't go with like, oh, it has to be a golden unicorn emoji.
well, I'll
Don't
tell you
do
what,
that.
guys. Put your suggestions for emoji in the chat,
Yeah,
and golden unicorn
ask
can
your
be on the
subscribers.
list.
Yeah,
But-
it can be, but yeah, ask your subscribers. Their suggestions matter. I'm just a rando coming in, just like being a mad lad
You're not
about
Rando,
Jordan.
I invited you on. You didn't just show up.
It's like I'm just like saying, like, yeah, your subscribers, their suggestions matter.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, here we go.
To
Okay.
demonstrate what I'm talking about here. The first is water vapor, and stay with me. See, water has a heavy density.
No, I can't
but when
stay
it-
with you, baka. Okay.
Water has a heavy density. I don't know how density can itself be heavy. That doesn't
What
make
are
any
you-
sense
What
to
are
me.
you comparing it to? It has heavy density compared to what?
I don't even
Water?
know.
No.
You can't even weigh density. It's mass per
It
volume.
has to be it's comparative. Like you're saying, it's heavy density compared to what?
And we have a super sticker from Maya Atkinson who's giving a celebrating creature of some sort. I think it's supposed to be a bird. But thank you
It's
very
a
much, Maya.
pear?
Okay, well,
Celebrating pear?
I think it's
Yeah.
I don't know. A Jordan emoji? Oof.
Oh.
I don't think I even want that.
Ah.
That sounds okay, look. This
Someone
is
said King Ghidorah. Ooh.
King Ghidorah would be a nice option. I don't have a
Yeah.
King Ghidorah emoji. And I mean,
Ooh.
I have a soft spot in my heart for King Ghidorah. I even liked the King Ghidorah from the anime trilogy. And I was a little disappointed that the Godzilla Singular Point didn't have a King Ghidorah, and I'm hoping, because they left it very open for a season 2, I'm hoping, one, there is a season 2, and that King Ghidorah shows up. And I was also kind of hoping that they would make a sequel to Shin Godzilla that had a King Ghidorah, but that's not going to happen, so. But also, I really, really liked the legendary King Ghidorah. I thought that was a really nice take on the character that was not so far off that it didn't read like King Ghidorah, but that also really worked very well in the much grittier, more realistic legendary MonsterVerse sort of like continuity. Anyway,
I can't believe with the latest, like the Godzilla versus like King Ghidorah, like Godzilla 1. It was
Only with help though. It was
yeah.
close.
Yeah, it was with the help of Mothra, but
Hmm.
still, like this creature emits gravity like waves,
Yeah, gravity beams
gravitational
somehow.
waves, beams. Yeah, beams. Sorry, not waves. Sorry, my bad. Beams, and yeah, it's and the Earth survived that. That's another thing. Like our Earth's magnetic field didn't get disrupted at all. That's surprising.
Dora says ends with Dora. I'm for it. All right. Well, so far it looks like King Ghidorah is by far the leading option for an emoji.
A
So,
yeah,
well,
much better than a unicorn.
well, they're both golden.
Yeah, but listen, King Ghidorah, it's the king, right?
Well, then again, Godzilla is the king of the monsters, and King Kong is King Kong.
Well, there you go. You got so many kings to choose from. Well, yeah, like King Kong might be a good one too. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna go with Ghidorah before I go with King Kong.
Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay, let's try and get over this monstrosity.
Heats up, it translates into vapor and rises into the air. It essentially takes a
Translates.
90-degree turn, which we talked about going back to the ancient Egyptian
Translates
philosophy,
into vapor
where it moves
and
up into the
takes 90.
sky and merges itself together to become clouds.
I mean, not always, but yeah, clouds are made of water vapor. Good job, Jordan.
As the clouds become
Yay.
packed, denser and
Good
denser,
standard science.
with so much information packed within it, eventually it has no choice but to release, and all of
It's
the water
like the
comes.
same bullshit. Hold on.
With
It's like
more-
the same bullshit that some like creationists some creationists, not all, come up with. Oh, DNA has information in it. Oh my lord. I'm just literally like waving my hands in the air like so frustrated.
Yeah, what Jordan has not defined what he means by information.
Yeah.
Like,
Ah.
given his definition, I don't know how to tell whether or not a cloud has more information if it's about to rain or not. Like,
It has more water vapor. Yeah, okay. Okay, this is all Deepak Chopra woo once again. Okay,
yeah, it's just meaningless
Okay.
nonsense.
pouring down.
translate.
Conceptually, you could think of it like changing from a high-speed particle into a denser one, based on the density of the information within the droplet as well as the speed that it was traveling.
Did you know?
Well, look, I mean, it is true that water droplets have higher mass when they're bigger because there's more water in it. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know how that. Robert Madewell says that Jordan is crazier than Kenthoven, and he uses the Kenthoven
See,
emoji.
this is what I said. He got confused with the concept, and then he made an assumption based on that concept. And then he just ran with it. He is just now running off the edge of the flat earth now. That's what he's doing. Oh,
Just like Flat Feet Pete. Rest in peace, Flat
hold on,
Feet
let
Pete.
me just understand where he started from. He started from where he got confused between different types of masses. So, and then he came up with this ridiculous concept of photon containing some sort of information. And then he switched to an analogy of water droplets and water vapor. And then he came back to photon and his stupid assumption of photon containing some sort of information in it. What?
Yeah,
I'm a simple person, mate. Even if I have an engineering degree, I'm a very simple person. Even for a simple person like me, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
yeah.
Uh,
So TC the Unbeliever says, "Is there a Jordan word salad producer?" Not that I know of, but there is the Deepak Chopra word salad producer. I think it's called wisdomofchopra.com. And by the way, their
Yeah.
security certificate is no longer valid, so do with that what you will. But I think that like Wisdom of Chopra is at least as good at generating Jordan stuff as it is at generating Deepak Chopra, which means actually we're gonna have to generate some
yeah.
Wisdom of Chopra from wisdomofchopra.com. Perception is reborn in reckless mysteries. There you go, guys. There's the Wisdom of Chopra for the day.
It's like for like coming back to Jordan and the stupid assumption that he made Like, oh yeah, if we know the shape of the photon, okay, he's obsessed about that for some reason. We can predict what it holds, like what information it holds. Now, as you said, Dapper, what does he mean by information? And then again, um, what's the end goal
Mm-hmm.
of that assumption? I don't get it. He's just running off, and I think so. That's why he does that. He's not sticking to the point he's trying to make. He's just fluffing around with stupid shit.
Yeah. So Mute Donkey says Gamera. I guess I could do Gamera. The thing is that Gamera is just so, like, there's a couple things with Gamera. He's way less well known in the United States and sort of like the non-Japanese world overall. And plus, his foes are also. He doesn't have the great stable of characters that Toho does, right? Basically, other than the Gauss, which Gamera has fought, what, 2 or 3 times? Every other Gamera kaiju has been a one-off. So for those reasons, like recognizability, I just feel like Gamera isn't as good an option as various Toho kaiju. So yeah, but let's get a little bit more in. We're coming up on the end here for the stream, not the video, and of course, Golden Unicorn is welcome to come on and do more of these if she wants to. But yeah, it'll be at least as painful. So heads up there, Golden Unicorn. If you do want to come back next week, actually no, not next week, because next week I'm doing a Leaving Young Earth Creationism, so it would be the week after. But yeah.
Okay.
Now, I recognize that this only partially works as an example because we're not describing light speed particles.
Thanks for acknowledging that your analogy doesn't work, but okay.
Oh,
Why
following
did
as
you
above, so
bring up
below,
okay, whatever.
I don't know.
perhaps there's a common theme here. If we can take this idea and apply it to light, imagine if it worked in a similar way. Let's think about photosynthesis. A burst of energy from the sun travels towards the
Okay.
Earth as both a wave and a particle in the form of a photon.
No. It's where it eventually interacts as a particle is determined by a wave function. Let's be specific here, right?
Oh God, who is Jordan's science teacher? Who was Jordan's science teacher? You did not do a good job.
Look, if you're out there and you're Jordan's science teacher, you did a bad job, buddy. Like, go back to science teacher school.
What this? Seriously.
You know what? I think I know who his science teacher was.
Who?
I think it might have been Mr. Batman.
Yeah?
You don't know who Mr. Batman. All right. When we're off air, remind me, and I'll send you some interaction between me and Mr. Batman.
Okay.
And if you watch it, first, be prepared to have a miserable time. But second, also be prepared to realize that Mr. Batman might actually have been Jordan's science teacher, because Mr. Batman is really, really dumb.
No.
Oh, and he's a jerk, too.
Oh no. Oh no.
It has properties of both, and it's moving at the speed of light and passes through a plant. That plant then absorbs the information and energy that it needed from the wave.
Just the energy. You haven't defined information, Jordan. You don't get to say information until you defined it.
Jordan, you bad boy.
This is so painful. Jordan is just as good as using the word information as Young Earth Creationists. When they're like, oh, you can't...
Yeah, sorry, go on, sorry, my bad.
Young Earth Creationists like, oh, mutations can't increase the amount of genetic information in the genome. And you're like, okay, well, could you define information in a way that would allow us to measure it and determine whether or not genomes have more or less information after mutations? And the answer is like, no. That's what Jordan's doing here. It's like, he's not going to define information for us in a way that makes sense to say, oh, did the plant gain information or lose it when the photon hit it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
like, yeah, and like what, it's, again, yeah, like you said, how do you define it? How do you measure it? And what's the purpose? Again, like, explain a concept first, the point that you're trying to make, and maybe then come up with analogies and shit, and then come back to your point. Don't just randomly sprinkle analogies along the way.
Yeah.
And never make a point. Okay, I get it. You're talking about information within photon. Okay, we got it. You're trying to make that point, but what's the end goal of that point? What are you trying to achieve by making that point? Controlling reality? How are you going to make that big leap from knowing whatever information is in within a photon and controlling reality? That sounds very, again, fluffy and wishy-washy. So yeah.
We have a super chat for $4.99 from Vandalia 1998 who says Kent and Mr. Batman can be science teachers. Didn't know it was so easy. So it does vary, at least in the United States, by state. But yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Batman has apparently been allowed to teach science classes. Now,
Or is
Kent
it
has not taught any science classes in public schools. But yeah, he was apparently a science teacher and a math teacher in various Christian private schools.
who?
And Kent Hovind.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. All right, here we go. We're going to get a little bit more in, and then I think we're going to wrap it up in not too long.
Yeah.
Particle that passed through it. The plant then uses that information, the photons that it took from the sunlight, and uses it to create something with mass, merging its energy with water and other plant matter to create sugars and other nutrients.
Okay, well, we're going to talk a little bit about photosynthesis now. Oh my goodness.
So photons just does he realize that some chemical reactions in nature are sensitive to light? There's a reason why we
I
are
don't know
asked
if he
to keep
does.
some of our chemicals in dark so they don't get activated by light, because light is a form of energy and can activate a certain type of reactions, and that's what happens in photosynthesis. You baka.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? The photosynthesis is not an energy mass reaction, right? What's happening is that various reactions require energy input. Now, some reactions actually release more energy than they take in, but the reactions going on in photosynthesis require more energy to be put into them in order to happen. And so, when the plant creates sugars, what it's doing is it's using the additional energy that it takes in via absorbing light from chlorophyll to power a reaction that then creates sugars. But it doesn't create new mass, right? Like if you were to weigh a leaf before light hit it and after, it wouldn't be any difference. It would weigh the same amount. There's no mass being created out of energy. What's happening is the state of various atoms forming molecules is changing in photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is not a mass energy equivalence type interaction, right? It's not fusion like in the sun, where you're taking energy and some of it is ending up, or sorry, you're taking matter and some of it ends up being converted into energy directly, so that the mass of the sun actually goes down over time. It's not that, but in reverse, right? The mass of the plants are not increasing as a result of photosynthesis, at least not directly. And when the mass of a plant increases, it's not because it's taking in photons, it's because it's taking in matter from the outside world in the form of various atoms and molecules, right? So, for instance, when plants grow, they get their carbon from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. They actually take in carbon dioxide and they use that to help themselves grow. Or they use their roots to take in minerals and nutrients, to take in things like nitrogen and phosphorus and whatnot. So, yeah, all of that from Jordan is just nonsense stupidity that just makes me realize that Jordan doesn't understand photosynthesis any more than he understands quantum physics. But so that was a little painful. I think
so we can wrap it up here.
Yeah. So I want to say, Golden Unicorn, thank you so much for sitting through this with me. It has meant a lot.
For 5 minutes of torture.
Well, now it's been close to 10.
Okay, 10 minutes of torture.
Right. So we've gone through 44 minutes even on this out of a 1 hour, 22 minute, 24 second video. So we've still got almost 40 minutes of this video left to do.
Yeah. You know what? If you send me the link to this video, what I'll do is I'll listen to it, right? And I'll just make notes, like, what concepts I have problem with and yada yada yada, so that when we comment next time, I comment where it needs to be commented, so that we can get through more of the video instead of like just 10 minutes or so, because we really need to finish this, because so long we know he just comes up with an assumption, fluffs around some analogies, and then comes back to that assumption, then again fluffs around some analogies without making any point. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will remind me, and I'll send you the link to this.
Yes,
So,
please.
Golden Unicorn, do you have anything that you want to plug before we get out of here?
Number one, like, I get it that sometimes when it's only you who's trying to like individual person who's just trying to understand and study a concept, you can get it wrong sometimes. That's why it's better to reference it from other people who know and have studied this concept, or even look around on YouTube. But then obviously you have to be very careful you don't come across a Jordan who's like, yeah, like saying abominable stuff about like certain scientific concepts. So yeah, I think so. That's what we saw today with Jordan. He just got one concept so wrong, and then he is obsessing about another concept that he has no way of knowing whether it's correct or not.
Mhm.
And then he just is just running with it, hoping that he can make a point that he wants to make. That's the point. He has already set a goal of this video. He's not trying to investigate to find out whether his concept is actually applicable or not. He's just made up his mind and he's just looking around for, oh yeah, that's the word, isn't it? Confirmation biases. That's what he's trying to do. And even then, he's not getting it correct. And that's why when you have to sometimes sit down and break down a video like this, because then it's all woo woo Deepak Chopra, and you might think you have learned something, but actually you have not. And that's sad.
All
Really
right.
sad. Yeah.
All right. So here's some channel news, guys. So the plan is Saturday. I'm going to be or not. Sorry, a week from now is going to be Leaving Young Earth Creationism with Kat, and so that's 1 week from today. On Tuesday, the plan is another Kent with Bent. Then Thursday, that will be. I'm hoping what that will be is actually the next speculative evolution video. So there you go. That's the plan right now. I have to do a little bit more audio and some editing, and then render out that video, but that shouldn't take more than a day or two. Unfortunately, though, that does mean that if you are a member or patron, you're probably not going to get very much early access to that. However, I mean, the content of those videos is basically just the content of the World Anvil page for the Speculative Evolution project. So check out that. That's basically all I have for channel news. Thank you very much to Vishanti and Golden Unicorn here for joining the channel as members of Tetrapod, which is the $1.99 a month level. You guys now are going to have access to my members and patrons only Discord server, early access to videos, stuff like that. So I will be sending Golden Unicorn here an invite to that server in like right after we get off of the being on air. And I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone, especially everyone who, like I said, joined the channel or super chatted, and that includes Carrie Bronson, Vandalia1998, and Maya Atkinson, as well as Vishanti and Golden Unicorn for joining. I really appreciate it, you guys. Your support is really what helps the channel keep going. But rather than keep gushing about that, I'm going to let my end credits talk about that, and I will see you guys, hopefully, on Tuesday. Remember to dislike this video. I just want to take a second to thank my channel members and patrons, especially those pledging $20 and above. Bob Knob, Benthoven, Ian Chen, Chris Love, Sphincter of Doom, The Venerable Bede, Patrick Dennis, and Res Instance. My channel members and patrons help make this channel possible, and without their support, this channel really wouldn't exist. If you would like to help support the channel as a member or patron, there are links in the description to both join the channel as well as join the Patreon. Patrons and members get mentioned in these credit scenes, as well as getting early access to my scripted videos, and if you pledge $10 or above, you can also get access to various 3D assets that I create for Blender, both for use in the channel, as well as just general giveaways to my supporters to help in any Blender projects they might have. If a monthly or annual pledge isn't for you, then there is also a merch store linked to the description, and if none of that's right for you, please just like and subscribe because every like and subscription really helps the video out. Thank you.